you're feeling like you want to yell a little bit, like.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, thank
How
you.
you guys doing?
Good.
Awesome.
Thank you for joining us. I know that you are an old hand at GalaxyCon. You've been here a couple
few,
times.
yeah. Different ones. Yeah.
We've never met before, but
Nope.
it's nice to meet you.
Nice to
I
meet you.
did a lovely. I know you grew up with your characters. You
Which
are
one?
Krillin specifically, my favorite one of all time, the goat of Dragon Ball, I would say.
Yeah, I would say that too.
Yes, but you have so much that you do other than voice acting. You started as a comic book illustrator,
Mhm.
which is crazy. How did you get into that?
I moved to Denton, Texas to go to school. I was majoring in theater, and some guy in town was doing his own comic books that he would just self-publish and print up on Xeroxes, and it was called The Sex Gophers from Hell.
Oh.
And it was really punk and really funny, and I liked it, so I drew a cover for him. And he said, dude, you need to draw this. And I'd never drawn a comic book before, but I thought, well, give it a shot. And we kind of became like local celebrities. We became the Sex Gopher guys.
Nice.
And it was like the
You
first
need
time I ever
jackets.
signed autographs. It was like really cool, right? People would buy us drinks. But my interest was theater mostly. But I kept working on the comics, and then we got a story published. And when that happened, I went, okay, forget school. I dropped out of school and focused on that for several years. And then I still did theater. And then Funimation moved to Texas and had auditions for Dragon Ball Z. And I thought, oh, I always wanted to be in a cartoon. My dad did cartoon voices when I was a kid. He taught me how to do, I don't know if I can do it with a lozenge. It's a very sloppy one. But after I did that, he taught me how to do Mickey Mouse and other things like that. But I never thought I'd be a cartoon voice actor because I was not intending on leaving Texas. Now Texas is a mecca of animation, you know?
Serendipitous.
Yeah, so it was really cool. It's just, and I went, okay, I didn't plan on getting a part. I just wanted to audition. I'm gonna audition for a cartoon. That's what I was thinking, right? And then, oh, nice shirt, tacos. So then I got Krillin, and I was like, oh, this is cool, but I'm not a good psychic or predictor of the future because I thought anime would last about 2 years. And I thought, exactly. I thought, this is cool. I'll be on TV for a couple of years and then it'll be over. 26 years later, it's still dominating me. But then Cartoon Network, because Krillin, you know, dies a lot. So it was still just a part-time job. And I was still drawing on the side too. But then Cartoon Network really liked what I did with Krillin and asked me to audition for Toonami Tom. A lot of you probably weren't even born when I was Toonami Tom. But the first season and a half, that was me. Yeah. And so when I got that role, I went, I think I've stumbled onto a career here, right? But I never gave up comics. I met a woman named Wendy Peeney who created a series called Elf Quest that I read in high school. And she happened to be at Comic-Con right next to our table and was such a big fan of Dragon Ball Z, she started drawing pictures of our characters. And I went, I am going to surprise her because she doesn't know I'm a published comic book artist. And I drew her main character, Cutter, and gave it to her. And she said, this is more on model than anyone we've ever hired. She says, do you want to work for me? And then the floor vanished beneath me. I was suspended in air, and I went for like 1,000 years to another dimension. And I came back Sonny the White, and I went, is this a trick question? Of course I want to draw for you. And she hired me, and I was like, you know what? I called her up, I said, I want to change the terms up. And she goes, you want more money? And I went, no, I want to be your apprentice. I've always felt that I wanted to study under a master, and you were one of the few masters of my generation that I remembered. And she said, yeah. So I moved out to Los Angeles. I worked in her studio for a year. Every day I would draw a page, and every day she would say, this works, this doesn't, and this is why. And we've had a working relationship together ever since.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's been an amazing experience. Very good. I grew more in that year than I had 10 years on my own.
So you got the role just by being in the right place at the right time
Exactly.
and having the skill, obviously.
Sabat called me after that the luckiest son of a bitch he's ever met.
Maybe, you know what, maybe you keep getting these big roles and these iconic things. I mean, maybe you should try getting in politics. You might just become president immediately, you know?
I hate politics, even though I know all about it. I tend to watch both sides very carefully, you know, because there's a lot of BS on both sides, but I definitely have leanings.
Yeah, well, I mean, you might just get the highest role, just like you did in voice acting and illustrating. You get the comics.
I always say I get the supporting role, so I would probably be vice president.
That's fair, that's fair. looking through like your work history, seeing that you were Toonami Tom was my childhood. Like I would come home and I would be like, you would see him in his little suit and be like, it's time.
He had a little pot belly with an
So
atomic
cool.
symbol on his gut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss him so much. I
And
love
now
him.
it's time for the greatest action cartoon ever made. Dragon Ball Z is next.
Yes, exactly. It's so good. Well, by the way, everyone, while we're talking, feel free to start lining up at the microphone. I know that we might have a couple more questions for each other, but go right ahead, line up. Would be great. Thank you.
And it was cool about that, getting that part, because Ocean Group did Dragon Ball before us. Right? As a matter of fact, I had to try to sound, to get the part, I had to sound like Terry Clausen, and his Krillin was more like Team 4 Star's version. It was like this, hey, what's going on? And, but the thing is, because I'm a comic book artist, I found out that there was a comic book and a manga. I was like, whoa, I've got to read this. And so I read it before I even did the first recording. But when I was reading it, the voice in my head did not sound like Terry Clausen's version. It sounded like Popeye on helium. And the first day I was recording, Barry Watson, he's a good old boy from Texas, and he said, you know, that sounds just like Terry Clausen, but I can't stand that voice. And I was like, oh no, he's going to replace me. And I said, I can do other voices. He goes, I know, you did lots of voices at the audition, so I was just wondering, do you have anything else in mind? And I went, huh, what about Popeye on helium? And he goes, well, what would that sound like? I don't know, something like this. Come on, guys, let's go! And he went, yeah, use that. That's pretty good. So I was actually the first one in the cast to do the voice the way I wanted to do it. And if you listen to the season 1 and season 2, by season 2, the rest of the cast made the characters their own as well. You know, which is probably where we should have started. It's not good to try to create a character by imitating someone else's version of that character. You know, it doesn't come from you.
I understand the nerves of not wanting to diverge, but it's nice that the directors allowed everybody to evolve and everything too.
And also Chris Samet, who's the voice of tons of Dragon Ball characters, but he was also the assistant director, and then he became the main director. And when he did, the quality just went way up. And he got me my first directing job. It was the Lupin the Third. We had a series like 9 movies. And I started out directing other stuff at that time too. It was like all hands on deck. It was me, Mike McFarlane, and Sabat, and I think Justin Cook, although he might have been a little bit later. Yeah, I think it was Justin Cook, but he called us all into a meeting and he said, our goal should be to sound like Prelay. And none of us knew what the heck Prelay was 26 years ago.
I don't know what that is.
Prelay is when you record the voice first and they animate to you. So our goal should be that we're doing the original sound. And as soon as we took that philosophy to heart, all of a sudden the quality just started going, and we started trying to outdo each other, trying to make it sound the most natural.
That's awesome. I think it's a good way to do it.
It is. It's a good philosophy.
Yes. Well, you already have a huge line.
Nice.
Yeah. Go right ahead here. Go ahead and introduce yourself and ask your question.
Good morning, or good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
My name is Avery. I was wondering, is there anything you've worked on, particularly in the anime community, that you wish more people had seen or would see?
Well, you know, we did, Assassination Classroom is my favorite. That's my favorite role I've ever played. And lately, people have been getting to see it more because it's been on Hulu and it was on Cartoon Network. But when it came out, they couldn't get it on the air. And it was like 7 years before we really got it on the air. So a lot of people didn't know about this thing. And then when it finally got on Cartoon Network, it trended every week it came out. So I was happy that people were finally seeing it. But yeah, it took a long time, and I was just like so disappointed because it's such a great show. And now I tell people, if you want to introduce someone to anime, tell them to watch that show because it's only 2 seasons, and you'll laugh harder and cry harder than any show. These guys are leaving because they hate that show, and I understand. It's so I can't believe he's talking about Assassination Classroom. Not while I'm on deck. All right, do you have another question?
I just want to say, for what it's worth, my friends and I were following from the beginning, and it's by my favorite director.
Oh, yeah. That was
Great question.
Thank you.
Hi there.
Hi, my name is Maverick, and I was wondering if you think Usopp will get his moment in Elbath.
Probably.
How do you think it'll look?
I don't know. Something. It'll be something cool. I imagine.
I want you to be in the live action. I want you to come in as like a little kid. If you were in the
I'm
live
too
action,
old and I don't have energy for that kind of stuff.
If you were in the live action, what type? Like I always say, I would want to be a fish person. Do you have one that you would like to be?
Yeah, that's
It's
a
a
good
tough question, but
Yeah. Live action. Who sits down the most? That would be my character.
that's a good vibe
Yeah.
though. No stunts. I'm good.
I am almost 60 years old, so it's like it's a little too much action for me.
That's fair. Understandable. Well, I'll still root for you to be in it.
Thank you.
Great question. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Haley.
Hi,
I know
Haley.
voice acting is mainly solo in the booth, but is there anyone that you enjoy playing off of?
Who do I like playing off of?
Yeah.
Lots of people. My whole crew in One Piece, I love playing off of. Any chance I get like just alone time with any of them, it's just so magical. I'm just blessed to be amongst some of the most talented people I've ever met in my life. But like scenes with, you know what? I don't have a lot of scenes with Sanji, but I've had scenes with Zoro and Brooke and Nami. Oh, Nami and I had some great scenes recently where we got to play each other, do each other's voices.
Yeah.
Which was when she did Usopp, I fell down in the booth laughing. It was so amazing.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Ian. You met me yesterday.
Hi, Ian.
Speak with the other Ian beside you.
Yeah, are you the one with the EAN?
Yep.
Okay.
So for Krillin and Dragon Ball, if there was one thing that you would want him to have or be able to do, what would it be?
Ultra Instinct. I think because it's just a martial arts thing, right?
Yeah.
I can't figure out why he hasn't learned that yet, I mean, if Krillin knew Ultra Instinct, that would be the end of Dragon Ball, I think. But then again, if he could just figure out how to do Destructo Disc, a Solar Flare, then a Destructo Disc, that would have ended the show too. Also, he had a moment with a sword where he was going to kill Vegeta. Do you guys remember that early on?
Yep.
And then Goku stopped him. Imagine if he hadn't stopped him.
It'd be like a force to be reckoned with.
He would be like a horrible person probably. He's like, they taste of blood, but he would not be a good person. I think it saved him. It really saved his soul.
Do you think that would have changed him if he did do it?
If he actually killed Vegeta, yeah, I think it would have changed him.
Thank you for answering.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Hi, I'm Sydney.
Hi, Sydney.
A lot of the One Piece characters change their outfits constantly,
Yeah.
unlike a lot of other animes. So, do you have like a favorite One Piece?
Right now, my favorite is from the movie Red with the black gear and the hat and everything.
Yeah.
I just love that outfit. I just bought the figurine for that recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just all the One Piece characters have like great outfits because they change around a lot. So it's like it's new and refreshing.
Well, I also play that character completely different than Usopp. His name is Sniper King. And I like his outfit too.
That one's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've seen a few Sniper Kings in there.
I have seen a few this weekend. Yeah. Anybody Sniper King in here now? Oh, there he is. Who are you?
Tell us who he is.
Yeah, I don't know who he is either. He wears a mask. It's hard to tell.
He's the king of the snipers.
He is.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi there.
Hi.
My name's Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Hey, so I figure voice acting typically is not the most physically dangerous of jobs. We see characters get into quite a lot.
Sean Jimmel passed out one time from screaming.
Vocal notes.
Yeah.
That's kind of where my question was going is,
Yeah.
has anything like physical ever happened to you in the booth? Like you ever sustained some kind of maybe injury or
Oh, yeah,
had something
yeah.
happen?
You guys know I did President Mike on My Hero Academia, and I had to quit after like season 2. He was just screaming all the time, and I don't know what it was. Like his voice was just like this. Hey, everybody, what's going on? Yeah, let's hear that. And I could do that all day, but when he started screaming with that pinch thing in the throat, it gave me laryngitis. Then it turned into pneumonia, and then when I finally got well, I was directing at the time other shows. So I asked Colleen if I could just direct myself on that. She said, yeah, whatever it takes. 3 lines into that screaming, I said, I can't believe this. I've got to give this guy up. and I do Usopp. You know, Usopp is a very hard voice to do, right? But I don't know, it just sets better in my throat. So I had to give up that role. And then she brought me back in season 5 as that Redestro villain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I really hated giving up that role. That just killed me. Because I just thought I brought something fun to it. And Colleen said, I cast you because I've never heard you do that voice before. But yeah, that was the one time.
Well, we appreciate your service. I love you guys so. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Jacob.
I remember you, Jacob.
Yeah, I have this awesome signature to my favorite beer fetcher, Kakarot. Back to another voice acting question. I heard through the grapevine that Sean Schimmel actually recorded like 80 to 90 hours of voice lines for Spartan Zero. How do you compare only having a few characters to act? And also,
I was in
any
there a lot.
interactions?
I was in there a lot. Yeah, and I can't tell you what characters I've done for it yet, but quite a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any interesting interactions that you like?
So you mean Sean Schimmel?
Well, I mean,
I'll tell you one
with
thing about
any
Sean
character
Schimmel.
in the game, because there's.
I don't know if he likes me telling this story, but I recorded him in a movie. It was a Lupin the Third movie, and he had gas, and he was telling me about it, and I was like, "You keep that door closed," you know. And it was like Krillin and Goku yelling at each other all day. But when he left, he closed the door really quickly and went away. And then it was time for Laura Bailey to go in there, and I forgot what had happened.
No.
And she went into the booth, and I heard her go. I went, "What's wrong?" She goes, "What is that smell?" And I went, "Oh my God, get out! Abort! Abort!" And she came out, she goes, "What is that?" And I went, "Sean had gas." And she went, I just started crying. And I told Sean about it the next day, and Sean said, "Yes." So Goku's an evil bastard.
Sean, you gotta air out the booth.
Yeah, you're right. At one point, there was like a little vent in the back, and he was going, trying to get air.
Well, that's it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I might be revealing too much. Hi.
You didn't hear a thing.
I made him. My question is, between One Piece and Dragon Ball, if you could swap roles with anyone, who would it be?
I don't know. I feel really blessed I got the parts I got. I think that Ian and I could switch characters. I could be Brooke and he could do Usopp, maybe.
Do you think he'd do the laugh?
Huh?
Do you think he'd do the laugh?
Krillin? Usopp's laugh?
Brooks laugh.
Oh, I can do Usopp. Yeah, let's see. Yo! That's only because I hear it all day long. We have the same agent, so we get booked right next to each other at almost every con. So I'm always trying to get him to laugh too with different jokes. Yeah. Somebody sent me a meme that said it was Krillin going like this, real sad, and it said, "Please don't bang the machine." And I said, "I got a joke for you today," and I showed it to him, and he goes, "You went, yo!"
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Captain Usopp. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing great. One question I wanted to know, and I know this is like maybe a few years before it even happens, but how are you gonna feel just when One Piece actually ends and Usopp becomes the Pirate King?
Yeah, I think I'll feel like an appendage has been removed or something. You know, it's been such a part of who I am for so long. And when we finally got to start recording again after the pandemic, and we got to see each other in person, and the first time I saw everybody was at a convention, and we're all on the stage, masked up, right? And I was just like, I thought I dreamed you guys. You know, it felt like so unreal after being alone for so long, you know, and I just really had to keep from crying. That show is really close to all of us, and we feel like a family outside of it as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.